Snap out of it. Stop thinking your vote doesn't matter and doesn't affect our community. This November, truth is, we need everyone to vote. Fill out your ballot early and return it before November 7th. Then text your family and friends that their vote matters and remind them to get up, get out, and be a voter. A message from the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County.
Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County Forum for candidates for the City of Mill Creek, Council Position Number 5. I'm Nadine Shanti, and I'm a member of the League. This forum is being live streamed to our League YouTube channel. To those of the virtual space, thank you for joining us. First, let me provide some background on this position. Council members manage basic public services like sewer, water, fire, police, roads, and parks. They establish and enforce local laws, control how land can be used, and provide direction to the mayor or the city manager. They manage relationships with other governments, nonprofits, and businesses for the benefit of city residents. Candidates for the City of Mill Creek Council Position 5 are Vincent J. Cavallari and Tanis Golbieski. It is the policy of the League to be nonpartisan. Therefore, we neither endorse nor oppose candidates or parties. The rules for participation in this forum were sent ahead of time to all candidates. I will pose the questions and will clearly state the amount of time allowed for each answer. We are using a countdown timer visible to all candidates, and time limits on answers will be strictly enforced. I will change the starting order for each question, alternating candidates in the starting position to ensure a fair sequence. The order for the first question will be Vincent Cavallari, then Tanis Golbieski. Let's begin. Candidates will have 2 minutes to respond to this question. Mr. Cavallari, your question is, what are the major issues you feel need to be addressed by this office? And please explain why you are focusing on these issues. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Nadine. Thank you, League of Women Voters. Thank you, Sultan High School faculty and staff for the opportunity tonight. It's always a pleasure to come out and contribute in your community. I'm Mill Creek City Council member Vincent Cavallari. For almost 35 years, I've been serving the community in one way or another. From Snohomish County Sheriff's Deputy to soldier in the United States Army to our role in Mill Creek City Council. I've amassed a proud track record that I'm happy to bring forward and discuss this evening. As we move into the future, we must be vigilant of the real issues facing cities like ours. Cities' rights or its sovereignty in the state of Washington are under siege. Coupled with the proliferation of crime and homelessness, they have the potential to spell disaster for small cities. Never in Washington's history has the use of preemption been so prevalent in a city's day-to-day operations. It's basically the use of state law to restrict or nullify municipal codes and ordinances. From laws to combat drug use and homelessness, to rezoning, to growth mandates, there's no shortage of government actors trying to dictate the future of most of Washington's small cities, including Mill Creek. And when preemption is used so broadly, it becomes counterintuitive to the core wants and needs of local voters. It substitutes state priorities for local policymaking. This will force every city, including Mill Creek, to alter its vision, a process that is constitutionally reserved for its local elected members. This takes the decision-making process away from local voters and thus disenfranchises them. I will always stand on the side of cities' rights and citizens' rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Golbieski, same question. You're muted.
Thank you so much for having me tonight. I appreciate it. The two major issues facing our community are growth and public safety. I focus on these issues because these are the ones that neighbors time and again want to talk about, want to express their opinions and their concerns over. I think that growth specifically is a top issue because we know that our city needs to update our comprehensive plan in 2024. So it's time for us to get to work on that. We know that growth is coming to our region, and whether that growth happens within our city limits or not, an increased population will put a strain on the infrastructure that we rely on. So we have to prepare ourselves in the best way that we possibly can. It's going to require citizen engagement, collaboration with other jurisdictions, and advocacy on behalf of our citizens to regional and state legislative bodies for us to make sure that the qualities that we as a community value are maintained. I think it's a delicate balance. I don't think that there are any easy answers. I think it's going to take a lot of hard work to make sure that we are able to carry our vision for the city into the future. We need to make sure that the needs of our current citizens are met while still recognizing that we need to meet the needs of the next generation. I think a long-term strategy and vision is really important. In fact, the current council is embarking on a long-term strategic planning project, looking forward 20 to 25 years to construct a vision statement and strategic plan that's almost unanimously supported by current council members. I think we can't plan for tomorrow unless we're willing to come together today to talk about what really matters to us. As far as public safety, everything from speeding on Village Green Drive to the obvious creep of homelessness and drugs into our city are top of mind for all of us. We need to continue to support the work of the police department and bring them up to full staffing levels so they can continue to provide such an excellent service for us.
Thank you so much. Ms. Gobieski, we'll start with you for this question, and there will be 90 seconds for you. Ready?
Yes.
What qualifications and experience make you a good choice to address these issues?
We have lived in Mill Creek for almost 20 years, moving from one side of town to the other about 11 years ago. I have 5 kids. They attended Woodside and Cedarwood and Mill Creek Elementaries, as well as Heatherwood and Jackson, Heatherwood Middle and Jackson High School. Over the years, they played softball with Mill Creek Little League, soccer with Silver Lake Soccer Club, basketball with the city rec program, and so on and so on. My daughter played roller derby with the Mob City Misfits out of Everett. Currently have 2 members of family racing BMX over at Bigfoot at McCollum. I say this not because my kid participating in a sport is a qualification for me, but the sum total of all of these interactions and the membership in these various community groups and organizations and volunteering in all of these various organizations over 20 years is huge. I've talked to people. I know what people are thinking about. I know what they're worried about. I know what the people are here love about the city. I know the things that they're frustrated with in the city. I've had various volunteer roles through which I understand how the city benefits from those community organizations, and the community organizations benefit from that collaboration as well. People who know me know that if something needs done and it's within my skill set, I'll step up and do it. In 2021, it was clear that city staff didn't have the bandwidth to run a graduate parade, so I stepped in and ran volunteer coordination and member participation registration. In 22, I helped write the voters pamphlet submission for the fire annexation. I have a good relationship with city staff and council members already.
Thank you. Mr. Cavallari, same question. You're muted.
Sorry about that. As a soldier in the United States Army, I coordinated the logistics of millions of dollars worth of military hardware on a daily basis. Currently, I'm employed by the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office and supervise numerous personnel. I concurrently hold elected office in the city of Mill Creek, as I have for 2 terms, and in that time frame, I've been able to achieve several benchmarks, including balancing our budget the last 4 consecutive times during my tenure. For 12 years, I've served on numerous boards and commissions, including Snow 911, Parks Recreation, Joint Fire Board, Arts Beautification, the Watershed Resource Board, and the Civil Service Commission, and volunteering on several other boards as well. I've dedicated a lifetime to public service and take the role of a public servant very serious. And in each of my public service endeavors, I've always conducted myself with a degree of distinction. For me, it's not about the job, it's about a duty to my community. I think that's what's missing from today's elected and prospective elected leaders alike. I've delivered on the promises that I've made to the voters over the last 2 years and will continue to always deliver results, not excuses. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Cavallari, we will start with you this time. And again, remember, there's 90 seconds. The question is, what measures, if any, would you support to keep housing options affordable in your city?
Well, Mill Creek is known for its unique diversity of living styles. Its character and charm are really unparalleled compared to most municipalities in the region. And I don't say that to boast or brag, but arguably, we're the envy of our neighbors. We've been very deliberate regarding growth and expansion in this community. Our housing inventory consists of a very eclectic brand and number of housing options while maintaining Mill Creek's small town charm. Almost half of Mill Creek's housing inventory consists of the new buzzwords, middle housing, and 12% of that is considered affordable or work source housing. Cities can't be in the business to grow just because the state tells them so. It's just absurd. And this is where city elected leaders need to push back on bad legislation like House Bill 1110. Middle and affordable housing is already being provided by the city of Mill Creek at a much superior level than cities our size. We can't afford to be forced to grow out of our infrastructure and play catch up. It's no coincidence that Mill Creek's been rated a top 25 city twice during my tenure. That doesn't happen by accident. It's by deliberate actions by its policymakers. Thank you.
Yeah. Ms. Gobieski, same question.
Thank you. I think that Mill Creek is a city, as Mr. Cavallari said, that does have a variety of housing options. It always has since it was first designed and built, and definitely since it was incorporated 40 years ago. We have single family homes at various price points, large apartment communities, and everything in between. Beautiful townhomes, duplexes, condominiums. It won't come as a shock to people, though, that it is hard to find affordable housing here. As a mom, I have 3 kids who are off to college and grad school, and it's really hard for me to think about what they will have available to them when they are ready to come home, when they're finished with their schooling. It's difficult to look at that generation. Obviously, it's not just my kids, it's all of our kids. And to know how unattainable home ownership is to them. I think that the options that I'm most interested in learning more about and seeing if they could be used here in Mill Creek are options that would create a path to home ownership, options that would ease the transition from renter to first-time homebuyer. I'd love to learn more about rent-to-own programs to understand what could be done there. I think that encouraging homeownership in our city is a good way to make sure that new residents feel invested in the future of the community and are able to put down roots here. We know that homeownership is something that leads to the accumulation of wealth, generational wealth. I think that's really important. Strong community ties, as people are actually able to put down roots, will lead to more successful outcomes for individuals and for the city.
Thank you. Okay, 90 seconds again for this question. And Ms. Gobieski, we will stay with you. And this is related and yet different. Homelessness is a growing issue for many in our communities. As a council member, what solutions would you propose?
I think that's definitely a related and different question. Absolutely agree with that. I think the first thing is always to acknowledge the dignity of people who are experiencing homelessness. Somebody whose circumstances have led them to homelessness is in need of our help and in need of our compassion. Those circumstances can't be taken lightly. We have to always recognize the need for mental health intervention and also addiction treatment. That said, it is simply not compassionate to allow people to live on the street without shelter. It's not safe for them. It's not safe for the wider community. There are public safety concerns here, including fire, including sanitation. we have to be vigilant and empower our police department to continue to stop illegal behavior. We can be compassionate towards people without allowing them to do things that endanger the wider community. We have to offer aid and services to those who need them. I'd really like to see what the possibility for partnerships with other jurisdictions that would enable us to send social services out with our police officers and work together in order to offer aid. But primarily, I think we have to stay the course. We've got a creeping homelessness problem. We know it's a problem regionally, it's a problem nationally. We need to make sure that we are not allowing illegal behavior in the name of compassion, because it simply isn't compassionate. Thank you.
Mr. Cavallari, same question.
Thank you, Nadine. As a deputy and a councilman, I think I have a unique perspective on homelessness in Washington State. I talk a lot when I speak publicly about permissiveness and how it will essentially destroy everything it touches. What you can have is public policies that essentially promote a homelessness culture. Being soft on crime, soft on drug use, has created the perfect storm for abuse and a virtual overrunning of the system. In the last decade, Washington State has seen the largest increase in homelessness and now ranks second in the nation, trailing only California in new homeless cases. Outside of Washington and California, the rest of the nation saw a 34% decline. Now, how do you explain that? Many of us in the law enforcement field see this as what we would call a self-inflicted wound. And let me explain to everyone, there's nothing humane about allowing people to stay in addiction or a mental health crisis. I've been able to do a few things in this community, and we've been able to be a guiding light for other municipalities. I've authored and passed sweeping anti-camping legislation in the region. Coupled with recently passed and authored laws on drug use and public nuisance laws, we've been a shining light for other cities to show how to stave off much of this decay.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cavallari, we will ask, we'll start with you on this next question. And again, this is another 90 seconds. All local jurisdictions are required to update their comprehensive plans in 2024. Are there changes or additions to the current plan that you would suggest? And please explain.
Mill Creek's comp plan is basically an articulation of the city council's goals and objectives for the next few years. A city's comp plan should always be an evolutionary document because budgets change, councils change, staffing changes, city's vision changes. The current comp plan in this city's vision is for the upcoming projects. I'm a little apprehensive to talk about changing or what I would like to see changed, and here's why. Our current comp plan in this budget cycle has been a collaboration of all 7 council members and staff, of which I was part of. And I have several projects, or pet projects as I like to call them, funded in this cycle, and I would hate to see them cherry-picked off of there. Comp plans, they're also a great tool for comparative data, meaning you get to see and track what's being done and what isn't. It also provides a high degree of transparency for the citizens to see exactly where their taxpayers are going and what the dollars are being spent on. In a nutshell, I guess it's a nice way of answering without answering about changes, but I'm satisfied with our current comp plan. I think we've done our due diligence and put a great product together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Golubieski, your thoughts?
I don't have specific suggestions for what would change in the comprehensive plan either. I think the starting point as we move into the process of updating the plan is definitely community engagement. I think that it's really important to get out and talk to residents of the city and make sure that residents know what's happening. I hear from a lot of people that government is making decisions for them. Government is making decisions to do things to them. Things are happening behind closed doors. It's all a hidden agenda, things like that, that makes it clear to me that residents don't necessarily understand the process. They don't feel tied into the process. They don't feel invited into the process. And obviously, most of us have other things going on in our lives and don't have time to attend weekly meetings of city council. So I understand some of it, the onus lies on the residents themselves to get out and get engaged. But I think that it's really important as we move into updating this kind of plan and this kind of vision for the future to find ways to get out and reach out to all residents so that they understand what voice they can have, how important that voice can be in steering, making decisions one way or the other. I really think that people feel happier and things are more successful when people feel like they have ownership in a process and they feel a sense of belonging, both current residents and new residents alike. So that's the biggest thing I could say is just community engagement.
Thank you so much. We're going to start this next question with you, Ms. Gobieski.
Yes.
What actions, if any, would you propose to respond to our changing climate?
Well, I have a couple of things came to mind when I was thinking about this question. Obviously, our changing climate is such a global issue that it's hard for me to think of what we could do in our small little city, but I did think of a couple of things. One is, and I think most residents and most people who've been to Mill Creek would agree with this, that part of what we are known for is our natural spaces, our green space, our tree canopy, keeping as many of those big trees as we possibly can. Whatever development comes in the future, doing so, keeping as much of the natural space as we can, not cutting any more of it down. My little niece and nephews from California like to say that Auntie Tanis lives in a forest, and I would like to keep it that way. So that's a big thing, is to maintain the tree canopy. It's good for all of us. Another couple of small things that I thought of are to encourage solar panel usage. Again, I've got the trees at my property, so solar panels won't do me any good, but I know that there are a lot of places in Mill Creek where they can. Encourage charging stations to be built for those of us who have electric cars. Supporting public transportation by helping with the first mile and last mile problem, which makes it so difficult for most of us to actually make use of it. And then finally, something that came to me was to help encourage our public utilities to use peak hour pricing, so that the usage of utilities can be spread out around the 24-hour day, which helps maintain that a little bit better.
Thank you so much. Mr. Cavallari, your thoughts on the climate?
Thank you. I don't think there's any one citizen that I know or in my circle that doesn't want clean water, clean air, and green open spaces. And let's be honest, we have a right to it. And as a legislator and a volunteer in my community, I've sat on the Parks and Recreation Board for almost a decade and a half. And in that time, I've built new parks, I've dedicated new lands for preservation, and provided new rules and regulations to protect our natural habitats. We've promoted renewables, reusables, recyclables. Everything has to be on the table. Not because big government is telling us so, it's because it's the right thing to do. We've done all this without hyperbole and scare tactics that you see a lot nowadays on different subjects. And what I mean by that is this. When I was a young man, we were told that the ozone layer was collapsing. And if we didn't do X or eliminate fossil fuels in 10 years, we wouldn't have any air to breathe. And 15 years later, it was, we were told the polar ice caps were melting and we were going to drown. I think you know where I'm going with this. And let me be clear. I agree the climate is always going to change and we need to be good stewards of God's world, but no need to scare people into doing the right thing. Let's just have honest conversations.
Thank you. Mr. Cavallari, we'll start this next question with you. And again, it's 90 seconds. Councils, commissions, and boards are required to deliberate and make decisions in public, and to hear from those whose ideas may differ. Please give us an example that demonstrates your ability to work in this way.
I think of all the questions we received, this was probably my favorite one for the night. There have been many times during my 8 years on the council where I've been the lone supporter or the lone opposition of initiatives. To this council's credit, for the most part, most of them get it. We don't always agree on things, and people have to be reminded that that's okay. This is how the sausage is supposed to be made. Opinions are brought to the floor, they're debated, sometimes redebated, but done with mutual respect and decorum. Being a legislator during the pandemic was interesting, to say the least. From issues like COVID mandates, school closures, business closures, the decriminalization of drugs and property crimes, police defunding. There was a wide range of opinions on the table, and a wide range of opinions that all mattered. But with all that, Mill Creek was one of the first cities back to in-person meetings in Western Washington. When police were being defunded, we were issuing statements for the latter. We're hiring, no mandates, no restrictions. I proudly led both of those efforts and made sure the people always had access to government. And through all of that angst, there was always decorum in our city on both sides. It's probably one of the most proudest moments for me as a councilman.
Thank you. Ms. Gobieski, your thoughts?
I was thinking a lot about this question, and as I was thinking about how to explain to voters that my professional experience in my life has been being a stay-at-home mom for 24 years. One of my good friends from college told me that the thing that I have learned as a mom with 5 kids is consensus building and helping to deliberate and make decisions for the best outcomes for a very disparate number of people. Just cooking dinner for 7 people is a collaborative consensus building exercise from night to night. I do think also I'm a Girl Scout leader. I work with a lot of children, and I think that being able to make decisions and to help guide them to make decisions together, and to help teach them how to make decisions without hurting each other's feelings, is a really great way to practice and mentor that skill in others. I absolutely agree that we will not always agree. We have to find a way to be respectful of each other, even when we don't agree. That's what we teach our kids. That's what we want from the next generation. So we need to model it ourselves.
And both of you have really modeled that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadine.
Last question, 60 seconds, and we're starting with you, Ms. Gobieski. This is my favorite question. Please tell us something about your life experience that might surprise or intrigue voters.
Well, I don't know how many people it will surprise, and I already mentioned it in the last question, but I am a Girl Scout leader, and I have been for 15 years involved with Girl Scouts with my kids. Maybe 18 years. I am currently a lifetime member of Girl Scouts. I don't see myself aging out when my youngest daughter graduates in a couple of years. I think they're stuck with me for as many years as I'm able to do it. And one of the things that's really important to me, I was a Girl Scout for a couple of years as a child. I don't remember a whole lot, except that the cookie mascot was a lion one year, and that one of the foundational experiences in my childhood was going to camp. And so that has been a really big part of what I do with the Girl Scouts. I run our twice annual weekend camps. We will be at Camp River Ranch in Carnation this weekend with 225 adults and children hiking all day and boating and definitely staying warm. So foundational experience for me, hope to provide it for the next generation.
Thank you. Mr. Cavallari, same question.
Thank you. This is going to surprise some people. Most people see me as this kind of squared away, square type of guy, jarhead that just kind of walks the straight and narrow. As a young man, I was making every wrong decision a young man could possibly make, committing crimes, alcohol, drug use, you name it, I was into it. Thankfully for me, a local NYPD officer took interest in me even when my conduct was less than stellar. He gave me an opportunity of either going to jail or going into the military. That man saved my life. I was headed on a one-way ticket to nowhere, and he pulled me out of the fire. He intervened when no one else would, And last year, it's the reason I use this as my last question. Sergeant O'Malley passed away in his sleep at the age of 93. I don't think I could ever calculate the debt I incurred when the good sergeant decided to inject himself in my life, and I make a career of doing that in young people's lives.
Thank you so much. Thank you both. The League thanks these candidates for joining us and for running for office. A recording of this forum and others will be available on the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County website and YouTube channel. Find links at lwvsnoho.org. We also encourage you to explore additional information about these and all candidates. Vote411.org, sponsored by the League, is another good source of information. The Snohomish County voter pamphlet will be mailed starting October 18th. Ballots will be mailed starting October 19th, and Election Day is November 7th. Please be a voter. Thank you to our League Candidate Forum team, and special thanks to Dave Moon and the Sultan School students at TurkPride.tv who made this live stream possible. And of course, thank you all for joining us. This concludes our candidate.